Hi everyone, welcome to the second Town Hall of 2022. This is Town Hall number 83 on the 14th of February 2022. Happy Valentine's Day to all of those out there celebrating. We've got some great updates for you today. So without further ado, we are going to start. And first up, we are going to hear from the People Ops team. And so over to Monica for an update from the People Ops, and to Angel will give us an update from the talent team. So Monica, to you first, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to start off giving an overview of the projects that we're working on in the People Ops team. First of all, the offsite, we're doing a lot of progress here. You can find a lot of information about the offsite, at least the first steps in Discuss, and please make sure to review the FAQs. And if you have more FAQs, be aware that we're preparing the next steps yet, and we don't have all the information from Top Travel Perk and the providers yet. So we might not be able to answer all of them, but they're going to be coming soon. About the compensation benchmark, I'm working with Johannes to finish writing the new levels definition. Oops, sorry for the typo there. I just realized that typo. And we'll progressively be requesting feedback to team leads for a second version of the definitions. About the performance feedback system, we're finalizing with the vendor. We had some challenges kind of balancing security with our requirements and actually a friendly platform. But I think we're almost there, so we'll have news on that very soon as well. And on the handbook, there's a specific slide, so we're gonna jump to that later. Next up, we will be working on LearnUps. So if you have any suggestions or any ideas of any topic, or if you want to volunteer yourself, please ping Terry about it so we can schedule it. And we're also thinking about improving the onboarding experience and partnering with Manucher for processes, definition, documentation, and optimization, and ideally a lot of automation as well. And finally, some latest achievements. Since Katia joined, there's like some sort of new, hopefully monthly new CC's welcome call that we had such a good feedback about it. So shout out to Katia for organizing it, and we'll see if we can have this as something recurrent. And another achievement is that we've been partnering with Legal for a new service agreement format together with a new S&T offering format. And that's been something that is almost finalized. Next one. A quick handbook update. I know we've been silent a little bit for a while. I've been focusing on other projects, but now we're back to the handbook and making progress about it. You can go to devhandbook.status.im to see the revised content that we're pushing to the develop branch, which is not the final version, but the version that we're still like making small changes, and at least has already the finance and legal team feedback integrated. So feel free to go there. You can check the section for settling in and the section for finance that are almost final. And please, I will welcome your feedback and we'll really appreciate it, because at the end of the day, the handbook is for everyone to use. It's not so much something that it's for me or the People Ops team, but useful for you as a reference. So whatever FAQs you see that it's not currently covered in the handbook, or whatever content you think you'll find useful to add there, let me know. You can either ping me directly or jump to the People Ops channel. And last but not least, anniversaries. We have Andre, 5 years, Mami, 4 years, Tobias, 2 years, and Jamie, 1 year. It's quite exciting to see there's been like people that it's been contributing to status for 5 years and 4 years. That's a lot. And a warm welcome to our new contributors, Janine, Amir, Jeremy, Maya, Giuseppe, Jorge, Ivan, and Pavel. I heard that some people had like some challenges with Jorge's name. It's I don't know where you're from, but at least in Spain it's Jorge. So for everyone who doesn't know how to pronounce his name, it's Jorge. And yeah, if you haven't done it yet, please send us your intro videos. And for everyone else, head to the intro channel to get to know them.
Thank you, Monica. And now over to Angel to give us an update on the talent team.
Hi, everyone. So some highlights. We had Maya and Katya. So they're two new team members who've joined us. So we're a team of 4 now, which is awesome. So that means more candidates to keep the managers and the teams more busy. So happy interviewing, everyone. Yay. We've got still a busy year ahead of us. Like, we're looking to double. So I think we've already hired a few people. So I think we've got like 97 to go. So not too many. For referrals, if anyone has anyone who they've worked with or know who works well and could fit into one of the teams, just ping us and referrals at State@SIM. And yeah, you can look forward to hopefully getting the referral bonus if they get through all the way. Next slide, please. Cool. So we've still got quite a few positions that we're divvying up between each other. So some of the most important ones are communications director, creative strategist, a head of marketing, NIM. We're always looking for Nimbus to hire people into Nimbus. We got a few roles for VAC as well, protocol engineers and blockchain smart contract engineer. And then for the mobile side, closure UI developers we're looking for. And then finally for Codex, we're looking for a few research engineers for both with the networking side as well and the P2P. So yeah, that's everything from talent. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks for that, Angel. Next up, we're going to hear from Andrea, who's going to give us an update from mobile.
Thank you, Terry. So on mobile, we just released version 1.18, so it's available on both stores and F-Droid. What we are currently working on is 1.19, so you can see the what was being included in the milestone. Basically, what we're working on is in improving syncing, as always. Like, we're working on backup and pairing, and we're also pushing out Wallet Connect integration. We started with Wallet Connect 2, integrating it, and now we are also extending that to 1, since the work is very simple, given that 2 has been done. So we've also worked on remote Android notifications, so that's using Firebase services. So we are not going to remove the currently sort of like local notifications, but we're going to offer that as well. And you can enable it. You will be able to enable it in the settings. Also, we're working on the mutual contact requests feature, so that basically, like, contacts will have to be both added to each other to be able to exchange messages. And also, like, we have had an issue with 1.18, so we're not able to display collectibles. That's because an API on OpenSea was changed. So we have asked for an API key. We've just received one, and we're working on what it might be a hotfix, depending on how long it takes and how close we are to 1.19. We haven't made a decision yet, but we're working on a fix. And that's all from mobile. Thank you very much. Back to you, Terry.
Thanks very much for that update. Next up, we are going to hear from Yuri, who's going to give us an update for desktop. So over to you, Yuri.
All right, so we're finally done with some major refactoring we were doing and related fixes that were resulting from that. So we should have a 0.5 version sometime soon. That will include things like there'll be Waku V2 support as an option, and that's something we're dogfooding actively right now. There's been many improvements and fixes to the message fetching. So that should work much better now across the board. We also introduced a telemetry service, obviously opt-in, and this allows us, when dogfooding, to measure if everyone is receiving the same messages. We also been moving a lot of logic from desktop to status go, which should simplify the clients a lot, and also introducing now new APIs that make the client-side development simpler as well. So one example is this Get Chats one. There's also a bunch of other APIs we're trying to make them more consistent. We also started with the C++ app. We have a base for that now. And we have been working on a lot of new UI components, which are soon going to be used for a lot of new features. So next up will be, so there was already work done to support multi-network on the back end. We're now adding that to the client side. to the desktop client. We'll also be working on the new feature to replace the 3-word usernames, such as the display names, that would be emoji hash, and the identicon ring. We also porting now the wallet to the C++ app. So it's a smaller section, I guess, of desktop. So we're starting there because we want to see end-to-end how things will work out. Also, the identity verification feature is something we're going to be working on soon. Has a lot to do with the display names. So if people can set their own display names, we need a way to also verify their identity, and that's the mechanism we'll be working on. Also, a lot of new features related to onboarding and settings. Namely, there'll be a restructure settings and onboarding. There's going to be a lot of new features like from password strength indicator to syncing workflow, KeyCARD, and so on. And we'll be doing for dog fooding on Waku V2 and masters syncing to make sure all of that is 100%. And that's it. Back to you, Terry.
Thank you so much for that, Yuri. Next up, we are going to hear from Alec, who's going to give us an update on growth and retention. So over to you.
Thank you, Terry. First up, traditionally, app installs. What you see here is a chart comparing 2021 on the left, 2022 on the right, for mobile app installs on App Store and Google Play combined for the first 6 weeks of the year, as we are now in the 7th week of the year today. What you will see is that, well, we had over 177,000 app installs this year versus over 397,000 app installs last year. So in terms of app installs, in comparison to last year, we are down by 55%, which I think you can see here. The question is why? So mainly due to the limitations of the campaigns I mentioned previously. Fortunately, this is something we managed to work around, and as a result, since week 3, we can see a steady increase of app installs. Last week, we reached over 50,000 app installs, which I think is great. This is enough to compensate for the natural users churn, and this is something we will look at on the next slide. So installed audiences, the previous one. Yes. So this is the metric showing how many Google Play users have the app installed on their Android devices. And once again, we have 2021 on the left, 2022 on the right. And right now we are somewhere around 562,000 users versus 377,000 last year. So 180,000 users more. This is an increase of around 47%. I think this is great. Of course, the pace of our growth is slightly slower, but we plan to work on that as well. Another good news is that last year, on average, we were losing around 2% of Google Play users every day. This year, it's around 0.8%. So far, the retention is better. Let's move to the next slide and see where these users are coming from. So over 48,000 or 8.5% users come from Mali. Since our last update a month ago, our user base in Mali grew by over 10,000 users. We see very high conversion rate in Mali, which is amazing. Over 35,000 or 6.2% users from Brazil, 33,000, 5.8% from Algeria, and so on. Over 45% of our users come from Africa, little over 23% from Asia, and almost 22% from South America. Okay, let's move to the next slide. You probably remember me repeating 12,000 daily active users like a mantra last year. So, well, when it comes to the first 6 weeks of the year, we are having around 12.9 thousand daily active users versus 13,000 daily active users last year, so slightly lower. The good news is that, well, yesterday, for example, we had almost 11,000, so this metric is growing like other metrics. And nevertheless, number of daily active users is closely correlated with our acquisition. Fewer new users equals fewer active users, and it's as simple as that. Okay, those were daily active users. Let's now look at daily active peers on the next slide. The average for the first 6 weeks is 2,600 daily active peers this year versus 4,700 daily active peers last year. What's interesting is that since last Wednesday, we see a significant increase up to around 6,000 daily active peers, but it's a bit odd. Like it's surprising. Especially since overall app installs did not change as drastically. But on the other hand, it correlates with the time I slightly intensified some campaigns in the regions with a relatively high conversion rate, which can be loosely interpreted as high demand for our app. So time will tell. Anyway, yeah, we are always happy to see more peers, and that's great. Let's move to the next slide, summary. So things to remember. So far this year, we had 178,000 app installs versus 398,000 last year. It's not bad, but clearly we need to keep working on our acquisition. Over 568,000 Google Play users have the status app on their devices. That's 180,000 users more than last year. That's a success. We had almost 9,000 daily active users. Now it's almost 11,000 in comparison to 13,000 last year. So we are close. And 2,600 daily peers on average versus 4,700 daily peers last year. So we simply need to work a bit on our retention, and that's also going to be fine. That's it from me for today. Thank you all for your attention. Happy Valentine's Day, and back to you, Terry.
Thank you so much for the update and all the stats, Alec. Next up, we are going to hear from security and infrastructure. So Serhan will give us an update on security, and then we'll pass it over to Jacob for infrastructure.
Thank you, Terry. Hi, everyone. As you mentioned in the last town hall, the WAC team is starting to use ProtonMail instead of Gmail to get rid of the Gmail services. So the account setup has already been done, thanks to Jacob. So this month, we had various security vulnerability investigations related to OpenSea integration or HackerOne submissions, etc. So this is business as usual for us right now. On the other hand, let's look at the work in progress things for the security team. The first thing is, the first one is about a multi-sig wallet setup. We are working on a proposal for that and talking with the related teams to align with the organization's actual needs. So the second one is related to expanding our team. Since we are growing fast in 2022, we want to hire an infrastructure security engineer to work on our infrastructure. We are working with the people ops team and the finance team to finalize it. We already mentioned setting up a new additional bug bounty provider, so we are in the agreement phase. It's going to be done very soon, I believe. And bug bounty management procedure and policy is still work in progress. However, this is an example of creating standards for operational tasks for the security team. And we are planning to implement it with business process management notation things. And the last two items on the list are essential for the security team that be more proactive in the design phase of the software development lifecycle. So we are starting to review specs for security continuously, and also trying to implement security team to design phase of the software. It's going to reduce the friction that we have sometimes collaborating with other parts of the organization. And on the other hand, it will be more efficient. That's all from the security side. Stay tuned for more updates. Over to you, Jacob.
Hey people. we've had a lot of changes in terms of fleets and CI. For example, our CI setup now is fully running on hardware hosts. For example, we've moved all of our Linux CI hosts to Hetzner. This makes them cheaper and also faster. From what I've seen, mobile builds are down to something like 7-8 minutes. So that's pretty sweet. We can get desktop builds going faster even still, but I'll need a bit more work. We've had some issues with NIM Waco CI builds on pretty much all platforms, but that's been resolved now, for now. And we have some new functionality for Android notifications that I've configured with Gorosh, and that should be coming in the next version. We are getting more hosts for Nimbus testnet fleets and replaced some. For example, the Pratra host that was running macOS was acquired with larger disk space. We have some new discovery DNS records for the production NIM Waco fleet that can be now used to connect to them. We now have some new functionality in Nimbus for validating, for monitoring validators with metrics. So if you, for example, are running a node with validators and you want to monitor your validators with a second node, you can do that. For example, that node can be your prepared fallback in case your other host is going down, but you can also use it to monitor the performance of your validators. So it's a pretty cool functionality. I recommend people use it. We've also had a major overhaul of logging aggregation setup for Nimbus. All hosts are now on Hetzner and are using NVMe SSDs, and that can cope quite well with the huge volume of logs that Nimbus nodes that we run on testnets produce, especially on debug log levels. And we're doing some major rescaling. Per month fleet is getting to essentially just maintenance mode, and we're increasing numbers of hosts with per month and the variety of layouts of validators. We've acquired a new domain, which is status.app. Right now it's just redirected to status.im, but I assume marketing is going to figure out some use for it in the future because it is a pretty cool domain. We have a new waconetwork.com website, and we also have JS Waco examples on the JS WacoConnect.dev website. As part of an investigation to a possible vulnerability, I've done a major overhaul of console ACL rules. This broke a few things, but that's normal when you introduce new permission settings and try to lock down things. So we had some rough days last week in terms of alerting and monitoring, but that is pretty much stable now, and our console is much more secure right now. We also have day-by-day CRM for the ambassador program for Jinho, and we also replaced the backend for documents rendering for Nextcloud to be OnlyOffice, which from what I've heard performs quite well. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Serhan, for all those updates. Next up, we are going to hear from Guy Louis from KeyCARD. So over to you.
Thank you, Terry. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, thank you.
Oh, yeah. So a couple of updates about KeyCARD. First off, about the card itself. We're pretty happy because we managed to create a good working relationship with a company called NXP, which is the supplier of the chipset we're using with KeyCARD. And they let us access to low-layer SDK of the chip we're using. This is going to enable us to develop two features that we're going to be needing in the future, which are deterministic ECDSA signatures, and we will need that to support zero knowledge proof rollups when we'll have our multi-network wallet. And also, we're going to enable in the card BLS 2.0 signatures that we're going to need with the card for the withdrawal keys of ETH 2.0. The use case we want to enable here is mostly with our desktop app when it will have an ETH 2.0 node, we want to secure these withdrawal keys with the key card. So these are two great features. It's going to take couple of months to implement, but we've confirmed we could not do that with the generic Java card SDK from the card. So it's pretty cool because we're going to get these unique features. It's going to be a differentiator with other hardware wallets, and it's going to enable these cool features we need for our status app product. Can you go to next slide, please? Thanks. The other thing that's ongoing is the desktop integration. So what it means for those that are new to the team is for now, we can use KeyCard with Android and iOS mobile apps, and we are going to integrate KeyCard with the desktop app. With mobile, you can just tap your card on your phone. With desktop, you're going to need a reader that plugs in USB to your computer, and then you need to insert your card to sign transaction or to log into your status account, for instance. So what we've done to facilitate this integration is integrate all the business logic of the KeyCard flows within the KeyCard Go module. So this is going to facilitate the integration. This is done. And currently, the design team is working on the desktop design. And once that will be ready, the desktop team will be able to integrate this design with the application. Obviously, we need a reader for this to work out. We've selected a model of reader. We bought 100 pieces of them for you guys. I'm going to bring them to Dubai. For now, you cannot do anything with these readers because the desktop app has not integrated KeyCard yet. So for those who are going to work on this integration, ping me and I'll send you right away a reader and a card if you need it. If you also want to experiment anything with the reader, just ping me and I'll send it. For the others, I'll have a reader and KeyCard for anyone, for every core contributors at Dubai. Can you go to next one, please? And at last, on the product side, so next in line of the things we want to do, we're going to work on a revamped design. We're shipping this KeyCard with its blue design for more than 2 years now. So we're going to revamp it, and as well as the packaging. So stay tuned for that. And on the supply chain side, so one of our goals is to be able to fulfill orders of small quantities, meaning something like 20 to 100 cards of individuals or projects that need a custom printed card. And to do that, we cannot do that with our current supply chain, meaning our current suppliers. So we've been evaluating, and we are down to 2 choices for a printer that Status will own, and we are going to choose based on samples one of those 2 printers, and also order 1,000 white key cards. And with these cards and printer, will be then we'll set up a flow for our customers to be able to specify a design and have a small batch of card with their design shipped too. So stay tuned for that. And also things we're going to do is work on setting bundles of cards, and we want to enable our e-commerce site to Web3 to I mean, the end goal is, for instance, to allow our users to purchase KeyCard with SMT, which would make a lot of sense. So stay tuned for this. And that's it for the updates this week.
Thanks very much for that update, Guy-Louis. Very informative. Next up, we are going to hear from Eduardo, who's going to give us an update from marketing and the community. So over to you, Eduardo.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, everyone. Some of our marketing updates. Last week, our product owner of network infrastructure, Corey, was on the Fortune Teller podcast, which hosts discussions on blockchain financial services between industry leaders. And Corey talked about status, decentralization, and Web3. And we recommend you to listen to it. And we've shared a few platform options on the status official Twitter account. We are also working to make the Status Ambassador program better every day. And the last action we took was to select 3 active ambassadors from different regions of the world and turning them into what we are calling brand ambassadors. In practice, this means that they will have a bigger commitment and responsibility with Status, and we will reward them with a monthly fee and all the support they need to help our brand and community to grow. This is a 3-month testing, and after analyzing the results, we will decide the next actions. It's been great so far. Status will have a series of hackathons this year, mainly in Latin America. We are calling it Fork the System by Status. And the main intent of those hackathons is to have great partnerships with other companies in the market, staying close to the developer community, and make sure more and more people will know and benefit from the great open source projects we are helping to build and maintain. The first edition of the hackathons will be in Bogota, Colombia, the same city that will host DevCon this year, and it's being planned for March 11th to March 13th. Follow our social media channels if you want to be the first to know about future updates regarding this. And I'm glad to announce that we have 2 new partnerships with Colombian social media influencers, Alejandra and Lucho, which are already doing some pretty amazing job helping their follower base and local community to get to know Status and see all the benefits that the Web3 world can bring to individuals and local societies. So next slide, please. Now, some updates about our communities. So building a technical community in Latin America. So as an effort on the road to the DevCon event, our community manager in Latin America, Juan David, has been hosting technical, crypto art, and DeFi meetups in order to prepare the developer community for Colombian Hackathon, Fork the System. Tech talks are also a good way to introduce builders to the open source infrastructure Status is developing and maintaining with the help of the community. Next slide, please. So now about ambassadors. So here you can find a link about our new brand ambassador program. Some numbers about the ambassador program from January. We had 9 new ambassador applications in January. One of them has already completed the first task by hosting a meetup. We had 17 tasks related to translations and content creation, and 10 meetups and webinars since January. So thank you very much to our ambassadors. Regarding translations specifically, on the Status application, we had 10 people contributing, translating more than 2,000 words. And we are now in a work in progress of doing some internal improvements to the translation system, and we are about to start using a single translation repository for all of the places, websites, and projects, which is great. And regarding Status website, we had 8 contributors translating almost 1,000 words. So kudos to everyone. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you for those updates, Eduardo. And that's it for the town hall this month. The next one will be hosted on the 14th of March, and we look forward to hearing all your updates then. So thank you everyone for tuning in and listening, and thank you to all the contributors for all your brilliant updates. Until next month, have a great time. Bye.